Welcome to Nurse and Namaste. So, if you don't know, my name is Raven. I am a registered nurse. I've been a registered nurse for over 12 years. So, I love being a nurse. It's the top five things I've ever done in my life. And this is called Nurse and Namaste. So, we're getting to some nursing topics, but also tying them into the yoga world, right? The yoga world and just establishing the connection, the awareness, and figuring out how we can grow um from certain experiences, right? From when different things happen. So let's get right into this, okay? Because it's a lot. I listen, I have a lot to say, okay? I have a lot to say, and I feel like a lot of things can be avoided in the workplace, right? In hospital settings, a lot of behaviors, a lot of microaggressions, a lot of micromanagement, very much unnecessary, which is why I work night shift. Okay. If you're a day shift nurse, that's cool. Kudos to you. It's not for me. It's unnecessarily busy. I don't have the time, the patience, the energy. No, thank you. And on top of that, most day shift nurses gossip all damn day. I'm just not interested. And honestly, night shift nurses gossip too, which is why I go to work, I mind my business, and I come home, right? So let's talk about that. First off, we're seeing that burnout is becoming more and more common, right? Burnout is becoming more and more common. I saw recently a girl, I didn't read the whole article, but I saw that a girl had like fell asleep behind the wheel after getting off work, night shift, and she was a nurse, and she got off work, and whatever happened, I guess she ended up killing two people or at least one person. So sad, like that literally almost like broke my heart because I can really relate to that because I don't know, I'm not saying I'm proud of this, but it's very relatable in the sense that you know how many times I've gotten off work and I'm in traffic, trying to get home, and I'm like literally rolling the window down, turning the music up, trying to stay awake. That's a real thing. Mind you, I'm in Chicago, right? And before I lived in LA, and in LA, well, California, period, they have HOV lanes. And I've always said that. I'm like, why don't we have HOV lanes? Right? Because granted, I would totally ride the HOV lane. If I got pulled over, listen, this is the safety issue. Granted, HOV lanes are for two or more passengers, but listen, I'm gonna ride the HOV lane because I don't want to fall asleep and cause any more harm. It's for my safety, for your safety, for everyone's safety and protection. You know what I mean? But there's no consideration. You know, they say the greatest form of love is consideration. So, how are we considering our healthcare workers? How are we considering our night shift nurses? Like, where's the consideration? City of Chicago, state of Illinois, Department of Education, Department of, right? Like, how are we considering our night shift nurses? How are we making this um easier, or just like how are we being accommodating? You know what I mean? When patients come into the hospital, we're always overly accommodating. For some reason, patients seem to think that they're in a hotel, right? They don't think that it's a hostel, they think it's a hotel, right? They want all these amenities, right? So as a nurse, we have to troubleshoot the TV, right? Troubleshoot the bed, right? The bed, the remote isn't working. Looking at the thermostat, making sure the and don't get me wrong, we're happy to do these things because that's a part of compassionate, competent, confident care, right? That's all a part of this. And connecting with others. We love it. However, there needs to be some type of standard or baseline with a lot of patients, right? I need you all to understand that you're not at a hotel. You're not. This is not a five-star resort. It's not an all-inclusive resort. It's not a hotel. I'm not saying it's a hostel, but it's not a hotel, okay? Granted, you can ask for extra blankets. another meal, a peanut butter jelly, whatever, whatever, whatever. But you have to also be mindful that it's possible that we may or may not have those things, right? You, and granted, your treatment and your care shouldn't vary from day to day, right? But it is possible that it could, depending on the availability of certain things, right? Sometimes at nighttime, we run out of blankets, we run out of linen, right? You just have, we don't have any food. Cafeteria closes at 7. So by the time you're admitted, there's nothing but peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, if that. You know, most times all there is juices, milk, graham crackers, and saltine crackers. Period. That's it. That's it. So if you're gonna base your experience and your review or your attitude or whatever based off these trivial things, these things that fluctuate in based off availability, and you're going to use those things to kind of like taint your experience, that's on you. That's a you problem. That's a you problem. That's not technically, that's not really my problem. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to advocate for you. I'm here to make sure that you understand what's going on in your body, right? To make sure you are educated, right? To make sure that you are um like I said, aware of what's going on, to make sure that we can help in the best possible way, whether that's giving you certain medications, right? We're monitoring you. So whether you're on a telemetry monitor, making sure you get different IV fluids, like I said, different medications, again, making sure you understand due process and making sure, again, that we're all collaborating, that connection is there. Okay. So whether the therapist or the doc or whatever physicians, whatever consults that you have that are on your case, is making sure that it's all cohesive. That's my role, right? That's my role. And I don't think a lot of people realize that, right? My goal for you is to always make sure that you are aware, present, intentional, and just educated, right? I want you to listen to your body. I want you to understand what's going on in your body. I want you to understand not only what's going on in your body, but also whatever disease process that you have, whatever you're dealing with, whether you're just dehydrated or not. If you're dehydrated, by the time you feel yourself being thirsty, you're already dehydrated, right? Things like that. You know what I'm saying? If you get a surgery, right? Laparoscopic or whatever abdominal surgery, you should be using a pillow here to splint the area to help with that pressure. Just little things like that. So those are the things that we take pride in, right? We're not worried about the thermostat in your room, right? Granted, that might be important to you, and that's fine. And I'm not negating the importance of it, right? Or the effect of it. However, that's not priority. I need people to understand priority, right? Just like when you come into the ER, they prioritize people based on their acuity, right? So we have our ABCs, right? So as far as our airway, breathing, and circulation, right? We're always prioritizing care, treatment, etc. So if you see me sitting here and I'm on the computer, right? You cannot assume that I'm not doing anything. You cannot assume that I'm ignoring you. Or if you've asked me for something and I say, okay, I'll get to it, give me a minute, right? You cannot assume that I'm not doing anything or I'm just on my phone. Now, it is also my responsibility to make sure I have effective communication and I'm making sure that you're aware of what's going on. But I'm just saying, everything is not as it seems, right? So if you ask me for pain medication and I look and I see, oh, you don't have any order, okay, I'm going to page the doctor and I'm sitting here and I might be sitting here on my phone. However, what you don't see is I paged the doctor, I've messaged the doctor, and I'm awaiting a response. I'm awaiting an order, right? But also, that's a part of my due diligence and to make sure, okay, you know what's going on. You're being informed, right? In every part of the way. But at the same time, sometimes that can be redundant and sometimes that can be like a lot, right? So it just depends on what's going on and things like that. And I just really I want to bridge the gap because I feel like again, I just feel like a lot of times assumptions are made that are incorrect, right? People assume things, and I'm telling you, it's just isn't true. You know what I mean? But sometimes the assumptions are true, and that's fine. And we have to do our part to kind of pivot, to pivot and to just do better. You know what I mean? I think as nurses, a lot of us don't realize that it's our due diligence to continue to learn, right? To continue to look medications up, to look up different disease processes, right? You come across lupus or whatever, or let me think, something, and you're like, dang, what was that again? I don't even really remember. You know, it's your responsibility to look that up. You can't just okay, whatever. No, it's not whatever. It's not whatever. It's not whatever. We need a higher standard. Like, it's not whatever. It's not just we're just passing medications. We need to know. We need to be looking these still. Listen, I'm 10 to listen, I'm in this a decade long and I still look up medications. I still look up different disease processes. I still look up different surgeries. I still literally still, because what? I want to make sure I'm putting my best foot forward. I want to make sure that if a patient has any questions, I'm able to answer them. I have some, I need at least need to have some type of idea about what's going on. I can't just say, oh, here, sign this consent for your surgery tomorrow. And she's like, well, what's going on? I don't know. They didn't talk to you? No. Listen, oh, you don't know what's going on? Okay, don't worry about it. I will have the physician come in and talk to you. Right. But this is what's going on. I can inform you of what's going on. You're going to have this, that, and the third. They're going to remove this, that, and the third. Da, 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 da. Place this, da, 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 da. However, I still want you to think about what I've said. I want you to take out your phone, take out your pen and paper, whatever the case may be, write down any questions you have. I always tell my patients, pull out your phone, bring out the notes app, pull out your pen and paper, write down any notes you have, any questions that you have. Please. I'm like, please, I'm like, please. Because I'm only one, I can only do so much, right? I can put in the notes, I can put it in the assessment, but that does not mean that everybody on the team is gonna read it. You know what I'm saying? So it's so important that you take control of your life, and you take control of your life by asking questions, writing down your questions, so that when the doctors come in at 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, you're halfway asleep. You just went to sleep from after getting your blood drawn, and you've been up all night down in the ER, and you finally got a room, da 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 da, everything else. You you can pull out your notepad and you say, okay, so these are my concerns. Not trying to be mean, but it's not that hard. But this is why I'm here. I want to make sure you're informed and you understand how this process goes, because the physicians are going to come in and, not trying to be mean, they don't have all day to sit there and wait for you to remember your questions, right? Remember what you had to say. I almost don't even have time for that, right? But luckily, I'm here for 12 hours. So you have that window to remember what's going on, or something to kind of trigger and to allow that to kind of come back up. But with the doctors, you don't always have that opportunity. And unfortunately, it's not always convenient or thorough to page these doctors at nighttime, right? After 7, 8 o'clock, there's a different person on call. You see what I'm saying? So now your normal physician that you might have saw earlier today is no longer taking calls, right? His answering service system is now closed after a certain time. And now you're like, oh, I need this and I need this and I need that. But now when I call, there's an entirely different physician that I'm talking to. He doesn't know you, he's never met you. So now I have to tell him what's going on, what's going on, this, that, and the third. And we have to assume that he's going to understand, and he's going to um empathize with what we're asking for, right? That might not be within his comfort, because everyone is different, right? Some people allow you to kind of have more leeway. Okay, you know what? Go ahead and give it to them. You know what? You know, and they always ask for our input. At least most of the time. I'm sorry, I said always, but most of the time they ask for our input. What do you suggest? Things like that. And even if they don't, me being me, I already suggested, right? I'm saying, can I have this, that, and the third, right? My patient would like this, that, and the third. Oh, I think this, that, and the third, right? So what would you think about this? You know, because that's the autonomy that we have, right? We all took state boards as nurses, right? So with that autonomy, and that's what I'm saying, we cannot assume or expect people to move when we want them to move. It's like that micromanagement stuff. It irritates my soul because I have autonomy. So when ER is constantly calling, you know, they're constantly calling. Listen, I have to deal with what I have to deal with right now. it's it's shift change, and you all want to give me a patient. If it was that urgent for this patient to come up at shift change, you all would have took report, or you would have gave it to the previous, you know what I'm saying, you would have gave it to day shift. Like, no, I'm not stopping what I'm doing to take report. I'm not, especially if I'm not ready, if I haven't looked the patient up, if I have anything, even if it's not emergent, but that's just me because again, I have autonomy in my role. I listen, no, I don't care who it is. You are not going to throw off what I'm doing for my current patients based because you want me to. Are y'all okay? Are you okay? No, I'm not stopping what I'm doing to appease you because that's really what it comes down to. You want me to appease you over appeasing me, and I'm in my own body, and my own body has to deal with everything else that's going on. So, no, we're going to go off my body, my mind, my routine, because what? That's first and foremost. You cannot pour from an empty cup. So no, you're not gonna have me running around like with a chicken, with its head cut off, and da 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 da. No, you're gonna wait until I tell you I'm ready. Are y'all okay? Clearly, y'all are not okay. You know what I'm saying? So but again, that comes with time. That's something that I've learned. That's something that just comes with time. You know what I mean? When you kind of just really settle into your role, when you settle into knowing who you are, when you settle into knowing your rights. You know what I mean? You're not going to, I'm sorry, you're just not going to peer pressure me or make me do something that I don't feel comfortable doing, point blank, period. I don't care who it is. I don't care. Because guess what? That patient still is sitting there. That patient's still going to sit there. That patient's still going to come up after I finish doing what I'm doing. Literally, it's never been so I've never had a case where it's been so emergent that they had to come up right now. What's the difference? There's no difference. So you're gonna wait until I'm comfortable, until I'm ready. So sorry that I'm not sorry. That's just what it is. It's just what it is. And if it is something that's so emergent, not trying to be mean, but again, if it's so emergent for this patient to come up at this particular time, then bring them up. Bring them up. Okay, cool. But also, you bringing them up, literally, you can do more for these people down wherever they are, down in ED. You have no restrictions basically. So you're rushing to bring them up just for status quo. It's a numbers game. So not trying to be mean, again, it's just so many different perspectives, right? And I empathize with when patients are downstairs, when they're in the ER, they're holding, oh, they've been waiting for a bed for 12 hours, this, that, and the third. Okay, but now up on the floor, we're running around giving medications, calling doctors, right? Helping people with mobility, taking people to the restroom, changing patients. You know what I'm saying? Assisting with different things. Family members have questions, physicians have questions. Of course, everybody always thinks that for some reason they come to the hospital to eat, shit, and sleep, to watch TV, right? We get the most calls about, oh, this channel isn't working. Oh, this food, this, that, and other. You are not at a hotel. I don't know, like, And I say that with the most amount of love and respect. But it's so funny because it's literally a hit or miss. You know what I mean? And I tell patients that sometimes also, like, it's either gonna be it's a hit or miss. Either it's gonna be like the best food you or the best food or the best experience, or you're gonna just find something to complain about and it's gonna be like horrible to you. Or it could be in the middle, but usually it's one or the other. You're right. In my experience, so I just want us to all be mindful. And when I say mindful, I mean more aware, more present in this now moment,